If XRP is categorized as a currency, does that mean it has no more capital gains tax? We're going to get into all of that in today's video. So what does XRP need to do? What are the steps XRP needs to take in order to become legal tender, removing all necessity for capital gains tax? Let's get into it. As it stands right now, in the United States and basically everywhere across the world, digital assets like XRP are treated as property. And so when that property is transacted, it triggers a capital gains event. However, when you compare that to the dollar or the pound, transacting that doesn't create tax events. So if we want XRP to become legal tender and therefore not able to trigger capital gains tax events, what does XRP have to do? What are the regulations? What are the hoops we have to jump through here? I don't think anyone else has gone into this level of detail to actually see what XRP needs to do to become a currency. So if you enjoy this video and you're enjoying the value so far, please consider hitting like and subscribing if you're new here. So as we know, cryptocurrencies, I'm laying this all out very clear. Cryptocurrencies are categorized as property and therefore triggering capital gains tax events when you transact those assets. But the US dollar is legal tender and so therefore doesn't trigger these tax events. Triggering a tax event with a cryptocurrency can come by any of these things happening. Selling, trading, or even spending. Spending your crypto is a capital gains tax event, but the US dollar has no associated tax events. I know it sounds a bit repetitive, but I'm really trying to lay this all out so that we can formulate that process and step by step so we all understand that we're all on the same page as we go along. So let's get into 5 different things that we need to see for XRP in order to make it legal tender. So the first one is that you need regulatory approval. We understand this. We need the endorsement from the financial regulatory bodies to say that XRP is in fact legal tender. We need that to happen. We also need some legislation amendments. And I'm obviously talking very USA centric here, but we need these things in all the countries. So when I talk about America, just expand it out to meaning globally. We need legislations to change. We need public and institutional adoption of XRP and usage of XRP. We also kind of need, and this is kind of really boring, but does fall within what I do here, we need people to be educated about what XRP is and what it does. And finally, we need that international recognition for XRP across the board. All financial institutions, all central banks, and all countries understand XRP and acknowledge XRP as a currency. We need those 5 things to be in place for XRP to become legal tender. So as you know, we've had some legal hurdles, I'll put it that way. And so XRP and the SEC, or SEC versus Ripple, has really put a stunt on the growth of XRP from a global scale, and certainly from a legal scale. When you look at the legal side of things in the US, even though there's loads more clarity than there was, there's still like uncertainty in the air when it comes to international markets and the way these big financial institutions across borders still view XRP because they still have this fear for some reason. That really should have been all but eradicated recently with this vindication of Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen. So that's less in the way now, but the legal hurdles will have had a lasting effect on XRP and the adoption of it. And so when you look from a global scale, you have to look at governing bodies from a global scale, like the IMF, whether we like them or not, but they do set the rules for these types of things. And they have said in documentation that you need to have major upheaval of a country's legal and financial framework in order to make a cryptocurrency legal tender. They've said this on their website. So they acknowledge that a cryptocurrency could become legal tender. So they've basically got the terminology in there for everyone to see. So in order to do that, you've got to, and I'm reading this here, you have to amend monetary law to align with the new status of cryptocurrencies because we need new definitions for cryptocurrencies for that to happen. You need to ensure coherence in the legal system. So you need to make sure there are rules and boundaries for these types of things in the legal system. And you need to address absolutely all of the potential risks to financial institutions making that switch over to a cryptocurrency legal tender. Because right now, cryptocurrency is volatile, right? I mean, in the speculation environment, it makes no sense to have XRP as a legal tender. It makes sense when the price of XRP has gone to where it needs to be to facilitate all the transactions around the world. At that point, it makes sense to adopt it as legal tender. because now it's more stable. So I've gone a step further. Okay, I've gone a step further, and I want to see which statutes in American law actually need to be amended in order to make XRP legal tender. And I say all of this to say, there are representatives in your areas, right, that you can contact and directly ask for an amendment of a specific statute, right? You can contact people about this. So for example, if we want XRP to be legal tender, or any cryptocurrency for that matter, we absolutely have to have an amendment made to the statute numbered 31 USC section 5103. And it is called United States Coins and Currency. That would need to be amended to incorporate digital currencies, or specifically XRP. And it is absolutely paramount. I mean, this is like the number one priority. If you want XRP to be legal tender, this has to be amended. This specific section has to be amended. So once we have that amendment in the statute, you then actually have to get regulatory approval from none other than the SEC. Not just the SEC, but also the CFTC, because they are the ones that apply that classification to the currency. Now, there are also like AML, anti-money laundering, and know your customer regulations that absolutely would have to change. Okay, so I'm giving you these numbers very specifically so you can reach out to who you need to reach out to. But the AML Act of 2020 mandates the registration for entities dealing in virtual currency as money services businesses, or MSBs. Because the only way you get XRP as a legal tender is to have AML and KYC all cleared through the regulators that handle those things. So again, that's the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2020. That would have to be amended. We would then also need new legislative initiatives. So I'm going to give you the numbers for some proposals. I hope you're writing all of this down right now. But the proposal is HR 1628 and HR 3723. And these both involve the legal framework around cryptocurrencies. These also now have to be amended. So I want you to take all of that information to mean there's so many steps that would have to be taken for XRP to become legal tender. One of the prerequisites for it becoming legal tender, and I mean there's lots of requisites here. One of the requisites of XRP is that it has to be a high enough price in order to make it stable, right? It needs to be stable in order to be put forward as a currency, because they don't deal in volatility. If you're using a legal tender currency, you can't have it be volatile. So XRP in the first instance has to be stable. We believe that happens at a higher price, but then you've also got exact amendments that I've given you in proposals here, the exact numbers of those things that you can take to your local representatives, or I don't know how it works, but in the UK, your MPs, and say, we need to change these legislations and these proposals because they're dated, and here's the use case of XRP and where the price predictions for it are. I don't know how you word that to them, but these are the things that needs to change. So it's all well and good. I've seen other people talk about legal tender status about XRP. It's all well and good saying that, right? Yeah, it should be a currency. Should we just say that, or should we provide the steps? Like, here are the steps. I've given them to you, especially if you're in America. You've got kind of something to work with here. Do with that what you will. Have fun with it. I do believe that XRP, or a token on a sidechain of the XRPL, will eventually become legal tender, but there's so much more that needs to happen, and stability is just one of those things. So I don't know if you know, but I released the first ever newsletter, the first ever newsletter from me, Lewis, newsletter, that went out last Thursday, and it was a tremendous success. Now tomorrow we have the second edition, the second week of the newsletter. So if you haven't registered for the newsletter yet, please do so using the link in the description to sign up. You'll have to double confirm, so it'll send you an email, you have to confirm there. And you'll receive it on Thursday at noon UK time. It had amazing reviews from the first week, and I hope I can continue that into the second week and beyond. Now, there's also daily updates happening in the 1% Mastermind. It's just a group of individuals within this community that are consistently and always looking to improve themselves and become more knowledgeable about what happens when all of these assets go up in value. What now? Who do you contact? Where do you go? I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end of the video, but for now, stay emotionless, and I'll see you in the next one.
Over the last 6 months, things have started to shift. And by a shift, I mean, over the last 6 months, more people who meet that high net worth individual status have been contacting, asking me if I can facilitate large crypto purchases, connect them with people in private equity, and I've found, quite frankly, that I've been quite good at that. And as time has gone on, I've really realized that I can connect people with some fantastic deals, great investment opportunities, and provide solutions for people at that level that you've probably never thought of. I acknowledge that not everyone is a high net worth individual, at least yet. And so that's exactly why I've created the 1% Mastermind. Over the last 2 years of making content, I've seen one of the biggest demands and needs of the audience is to have a list of professionals that you can contact when this whole thing takes off. When all the money comes in, our portfolios are of high value, what now? What do we do? Who do we contact? There's also a group of individuals that want to improve and do business and network among other millionaires to be. Nobody in the digital asset space has ever seen anything like this. Wherever you are in the world, the plan of the Mastermind is to be able to connect you with professionals, not only in accounting and tax and law and estate planning, but to connect you with individuals who actually understand the assets you hold. We know about this all too well. We call an accountant and you know more about Bitcoin and XRP than they do. And it's not just a directory of professionals that we're offering here. We also have unique investment opportunities for individuals, even if you don't meet the accredited investor requirements. When you think about diversifying your assets in the long term, you might be considering real estate, venture capital, private equity. You won't need to go over here to find a deal. You won't need to go over here to find a deal. It will all be housed in that one central location, and you'll be surrounded by individuals that are on the same page as you and want the same thing, not just for themselves, but they want the same thing for you. In addition to all of that, we'll also have a library of content answering your specific questions, not made for views, not made for engagement, but made specifically to add value to the library of content that there will be. As time goes on, the price of the membership will actually go up, and likely will go up every single week from here on out. So join the 1% Mastermind today, and I'll see you in there.